For me, taxes were my biggest expense. They're not anymore. Taxes are an asset to me now. Think about the growth I can have. I saved $800,000 in taxes last year. Think about like what that can do in my business, One Oak Financial. Think about how many more leads I can buy. Think about how many more people I can employ. Think about how many more lives I can impact when it comes to the standpoint of building the one-of-a-kind financial plan for them. And then think about like how much more I could pocket, right, at the end of it. How much more we can do as a family in the grand scheme of things. And that's ultimately why we're in business, right? We're in it to help people, to make an impact, but we're also in it to make a living.
.8% effective tax rate. Say what? On today's episode, Courtney and I sit down with CFP, owner of Ideas by Mike and One Oak Financial, Mike Milligan, and we're going to be talking about how Mike has got his effective tax rate down to 2.8%. What you as an advisor, your biggest problem, your biggest issue, and why you're not helping more people, more customers out with financial planning and their investments, life insurance, annuities, and more. This was an absolute awesome episode where we dive into all things finances with Mike Milligan. With that being said, let's start the show. Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your host, Michael and Courtney Weaver, and today we have a very special guest with us, financial expert, owner of Ideas by Mike and One Oak Financial. Mike Milligan is in the house today. Mike, what's going on, my man?
Well, I'm just here to try to match your guys' energy, obviously. I mean, that was one of the absolute freaking best intros ever to a podcast.
Well, dude, I am pumped because you may not know this, but a lot of people call me Money Mike. So I study charts all the time. When your team reached out and they're like, we've got this guy. His name's Mike. He's a financial expert. He helps business owners. He helps customers. You're in the insurance industry, and I couldn't think of somebody better to have on the buzz to come and talk about how not only agents and business owners need to be planning for their own success and their own retirement, but also how they can help customers do the same thing. And so we just appreciate you coming on.
I'm excited. I mean, this is going to be a crazy good conversation.
So we're very intrigued. You started the conversation off with not bragging or anything, but you live in Puerto Rico. So I want to know what took you to Puerto Rico. Why is Puerto Rico a great way to save on taxes and just kind of play the game a little bit?
Yeah, so my business still operates out of Virginia. That's where my corporate headquarters is. That's the building we own. That's where most of our operations staff is. And we operate our business all across the United States virtually. And I've got people in Texas and Tennessee and Wisconsin, Ohio, Maine, Hawaii. Hawaii is very intentional, by the way, because I need to go visit there every year. But as the owner of the business, my residence doesn't matter. And I know I'm in a room of people listening who are in the insurance business who are going to be like, well, if you don't live in Puerto Rico, how can you reside and have a Virginia residence, right? Your resident state is where you either do the most business or you live. So I do the most business in Virginia, but I live in Puerto Rico. Reason I live in Puerto Rico is because when I'm on Zoom, talking on podcast, meeting with clients, signing new clients up, the money is being made on mainland USA. But then for my income, we export that commission, AUM fee, over to Puerto Rico, and it's exported from the mainland and imported into Puerto Rico. Well, Puerto Rico has this thing called Act 60. It's an export business, and most people think export business is like bananas or cars or no, it's commissions. You can do commissions, marketing, crypto, right? And so there's an investor and an export services, and the revenue that I make in the United States becomes an expense to the business in the United States. One Oak Financial, that's the business. It goes into One Oak Puerto Rico, which is my company there, and I only have to pay income tax at 2%. 2.
Everyone's moving.
Yeah, come on, guys. There's
wow.
And if the key is, this doesn't work for everybody though, right? people have kids and they have schools or they have parents that they're taking care of, or kids in college, and it doesn't work for everybody. But people use this strategy all the time. They do geographic arbitrage for their taxes. They move from New York to Florida. We talked about Wyoming. They move from California to Nevada. People are using this system. We're just using the Mac Daddy of the system, right? And like we talked about, right? Like earlier, David McKnight, Power of Zero, is my neighbor, right? He's down in Puerto Rico. Harry Dent, John DeJari, an options trader, right? Jake Paul, MMA fighter. And the interesting part about Puerto Rico, it's also called Crypto Rico, because every big crypto trader in the world lives in Puerto Rico.
I think there's something to be said. This is something that I believe, but when you are that close and you're around that kind of energy, you're always learning something. Mm-hmm. You're watching, there's this constant expansion of what's possible. What if we tried this? I think that those ideas just start passing.
It's like the
around.
old saying: if you're around 5 multimillionaires, you're going to be the 6th.
Just say my water cooler is a little bit different than most people's water cooler.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so I do have to ask. So this is just me being very curious. So 2%, are you getting away from both individual and federal tax, and you're paying a max of 2%?
Correct. Now, I do have to have
Holy
a payroll
shit.
down there, right? I have to have a payroll, right?
For
at least
sure.
A little bit.
For
So I do
sure.
have to pay some payroll tax down there, but it ain't on the profit, right? That's the key and it's a hack, right? I write in my book, The One of a Kind Financial Plan, that taxes are the biggest expense you'll ever have in your life. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people who will try to argue with me that it's like kids' college bills or your mortgage and all that. No, guys, taxes are the biggest expense you're ever going to have in your life. And if I'm going to write that in a book, and I'm going to tell clients that my job is to reduce your taxes, get you retirement income you can't outlive, and then we're going to worry about investments that are risk appropriate from where you are, while controlling the freeze, talk about long-term care, and do legacy. If that's going to be my business. Well, what do you think it says about me when I say, right? My biggest client is One Oak Financial, Mike Milligan and Liana Milligan. That's my biggest client, right? And anybody if you're not your own biggest client, right? And I don't mean you have the most money of any client you ever have, but if your financial plan is not buttoned up and the most efficient it can be as a financial professional, you need to start there before you start working with others. But for me, taxes were my biggest expense. They're not anymore. Taxes are an asset to me now. Think about the growth I can have. I saved $800,000 in taxes last year. Think about what that can do in my business, One Oak Financial. Think about how many more leads I can buy. Think about how many more people I can employ. Think about how many more lives I can impact when it comes to the standpoint of building the one-of-a-kind financial plan for them. And then think about how much more I could pocket, right, at the end of it. How much more we can do as a family in the grand scheme of things. And that's ultimately why we're in business, right? We're in it to help people, to make an impact, but we're also in it to make a living and to have really a truly one-of-a-kind life. And that's why we live in Puerto Rico.
Oh my gosh, I have my light up tambourine and my Stevie Nicks shirt. I'm here for this. Okay, so you want to keep?
I did
jam
not
going?
have tambourine on my bingo card today, by the way.
Well,
Oh man.
it is hit. It is hit. Congratulations, bingo. That's what happened today. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into. We're talking a little bit about solving problems for people. Let's talk about, what do you think the greatest problem is currently in the financial services industry or the insurance industry that you're like, this has to change?
Oh man, the greatest problem we all have is the problem of obscurity. People don't know who we are. They and there's a lot of really good, ethical, well-trained individuals that can do a lot of really good stuff, but nobody knows who they are. They don't have a good mechanism for getting in front of the right kind of client. And we're losing. There was a study done a couple years ago that ranked like professions in like their reputation quality, and an insurance agent was right at the same level as a used car salesman, because like our industry gets pounded on so hard because And I mean, there's nothing wrong with people that do this, right? Because I think some financial knowledge is better than no financial knowledge. But we got the TikTok people out there, right? That are saying IULs are the only thing you should ever do, right? And it's like, I see somebody with money, IUL. Or I see somebody with money, fixed index annuity. Or I see somebody with money, variable annuity, right? One product or one solution for everybody's problems. In those people that have come out of obscurity, the ones with 200,000 followers on TikTok or 175,000 YouTube subscribers, right? Those people who've come there, they're not necessarily doing those of us who have the wisdom and the knowledge any favors, right? Because it's the same solution over and over again. And those of us who really genuinely sit down with clients and we have no preset financial plan in place. We're going to listen to what the clients want, and everything from CDs to Bitcoin can have attributes for what they, what they need in their financial plan, and we're going to provide a custom plan for them or some kind of, preset. Nothing preset. Those of us that do that, the heroes of the financial planning and the retirement industry, we have the same reputation as the people who, are doing the same product over and over again.
Okay, so how do agents get out of how do agents get people to know who they are and what they do?
Well, the thing you have to realize is the most powerful tool in financial services is not a calculator or a spreadsheet; it's the microphone. This thing right here, and I don't mean my microphone; I mean your microphone. The mic is the most powerful tool out there, and you have to compliantly, right? I'm not saying go out there with a bullhorn on like the evangelist on the side of the street saying you're all going to hell. I don't do that, right? But put really good content out, right? And most people don't know how to do this. They don't know how to do it the compliance side, but it literally is. I tell people to do two things, right? If you're virtual and you record your meetings, right? Watch them. Just watch them. And then give yourself a grade. How did you do? Like, would I want to work with the guy that I presented on there, or did I not? And then the other thing I would say do that all financial professionals should do is at the end of the week, they should have their last appointment of the week should be an appointment with themselves. So if you stop on Fridays at 5 o'clock, that's when you're in. At 4 o'clock, it should be a self-appointment with yourself. And that appointment should be structured into 15-minute increments. The first 15 minutes is, answer what were the most impactful meetings I had this week and summarize them. The second 15 minutes, I would say, what were the 5 common questions I had this week and write them down. And then the next 15 minutes on both of them, I would record myself talking about those impactful meetings. And then the last 15 minutes, I would record myself answering the questions. And if you think about that, you've created, in essence, probably 2, 3, 4, 5 video content pieces that you could simply just slap on YouTube. So easy. And I'm telling you guys, when I started implementing this back in 2017, I sucked at it. I was awful. I was awful, right? I had like this microphone that was like on a tripod, and my voice was good, but it wasn't coming through well. And my camera was like one of those little small cameras that you like put on the top of your thing, and you would see glares. And now, over time, I've gotten much better at it. Yeah. But I still have a standing appointment with myself every Friday. The last appointment's a standing one, where I ask myself those couple things. What were the most impactful meetings I had? What were the questions I had? And then I record them. And because what happens is it's practice, but by throwing it out in the universe, you never know who's going to see it. That's the beautiful thing about YouTube, right? Is people will go to YouTube and say, how do I change a battery in my 2017 Honda Civic? They'll go up there and say they'll say my plumbing is leaking. How do I change the valve stem? I think that's what that's called. That little thing on the end, that little stem that comes out. How do I change that? People go to YouTube to find answers. And the interesting thing is you may only have 20 people who watch a video, but you never know you know, as long as you have a good presence, as long as you have a good website and a good call to action, and, you know, people will reach out to you over that, because and what you'll find is if you have 20 people watching your videos, what'll happen is they'll end up being 10 or 12 of those be the same people over and over again. And then a couple years from now, when they finally need something, who are they going to reach out to? They're going to reach out to the person that they have listened to for the last 2 years. Everybody is not ready to create a financial plan today. Everybody's not ready to make a financial decision today about the future. But you just want to be present when they are, because otherwise, you know, you're not going to make any money for from some of those people. And so that obscurity piece, recording yourself that last hour of the day, man, that is how you come out of obscurity. Is you use this tool, you use YouTube, and you just never know who you're going to reach that way. Some of my best clients are people that I never would have passed in the grocery store, or they don't live in my town. My best clients, you know, some of New York City, right? I never would have passed them, right? Boise, Idaho, right? I got one of my clients. I have one of the original founders of Micron as a client out there. Like, I've never been to Boise, Idaho. Well, now I have. I had never been to Boise, Idaho in my life, but I flew out there once. He reached out to me via email and said, I've been listening to your stuff on YouTube. You just never know what you're going to find.
Agents and producers, listen up. Are you ready to double your close rate in auto sales conversations in the next 30 days? If yes, make sure you attend the training I'm having on the 20th of this month. I'm going to be teaching you how to overcome objections in the auto sales conversation, but not just how to overcome objections, how to eliminate objections before they even happen, so that you can get more deals done on initial calls and eliminate follow-ups. In this training, what you can expect is the types of questions to ask throughout a conversation to eliminate objections before they happen, get the customer bought into the conversation you're having with them, and of course, yes, prepare you to overcome objections like, hey, I'm going to need to think about it. I need to talk to my spouse. Yo, dog, that's too expensive. Hey, I need to go talk to my agent real fast to see if he can meet or beat your coverage and price. All of those and more, you're going to learn how to overcome those with the exact word tracks, the exact thing to say, so that you have confidence the next time you hear that. So if you are ready to double your close rate, if you are ready to get more deals done, eliminate follow-ups, if you are ready to increase your production and start to make the money that you want to and that you deserve and crush your goals, make sure you click the link below, register for this training. Again, it's on the 20th of this month at noon Central Time. Click the link below, and I will see you there.
All right, so I'm gonna say the thing that I know people are thinking right now. All right, I'm terrified to put myself out there. I'm not a content creator. I'm a financial planner. I'm an insurance agent. What do I do? I'm scared to death. Like, and I want to be on YouTube. I don't want to spend all my time creating content.
And exactly right. We're not saying spend all your time. We're saying spend 30 minutes of a week. That's all we're saying. In the grand scheme of this thing, right? 30 minutes. If you think about what you're doing in that last hour or week, you're giving yourself, and guys, in the financial services industry, think about how many times we hear the word no. Right? And it comes in so many forms. It comes in the form of, no, I went with somebody else, or you call somebody 3 times and they never pick up the phone, or you send an email that goes unanswered, or you send a text and all of a sudden they say unsubscribe, right? We hear no's in so many ways in this industry, but that last hour of the week is your chance to build some confidence in what you did that week. You know, what were the most impactful meetings I had? What are the questions? And then by putting yourself at the end, it's an exercise of helping people, which is what when we're in the business to make money. But it's at the end of the week, it's your chance. It's your last thing is you're helping people. You're going to go into your weekend feeling good about what you did. And at the end of it, right, there's always going to be somebody better than us on YouTube. Always. There's always going to be somebody who's a better financial planner than you are, a financial pro or an insurance agent. Always. You're never going to be the best, because as soon as you ascend to the best, like let's say you work in a captive company and you're the number one sales guy there, then all of a sudden you're going to go to like an MDRT event and you're going to realize, oh, wait a minute, there's 1,000 of me out here. right? And then and then you're going to get to the top of the table, right? And you're like, oh, I made it. And then all of a sudden you're going to realize there's 1,000 of them, right? You never know who the best. I get into some rooms that, like, if you were in some of the rooms I'm in, like for producers, I mean, 8 and 9 figure, and I don't mean 8 and 9 figure of assets. I mean 8 and 9 figures of income for this business. And when you get in those rooms, you know the difference between those people and the people that are people who are making 6 and 7 figures a year? Nothing. We have the exact same time. We have the exact same amount of time. It's just that they're willing to take chances. They get more yeses. You know, they're willing to go the extra step. They work hard. And, you know, there's not many Harvard-educated graduates, right? You know, silver spoon people who are making 8 and 9 figures in the insurance business. They're hard workers. They're the people who are willing to kind of, when they hear no, let that impact them for like 2 seconds instead of 2 days. And they go to the next one. They go to the next one. They go to the next one. And they're always working harder. They're trying to learn more about the business. They're trying to improve themselves. They're willing to put themselves out there. Because at the end of the day, who cares, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the only person that I really care about how I impact them is my wife and my kids. Mm-hmm. That's all I care about, right? Like, I don't want to embarrass her because I'm a reflection of her. And I don't want to embarrass my kids because I don't want to ruin the name, the reputation name, because I want them to be able to get into places I never got into. But at the end of it, who cares if John Smith in Biloxi, Mississippi, right, doesn't want to purchase, you know, the annuity solution or the financial plan I put in front of them, right? It doesn't matter because that no means that I'm closer to my next yes. Yeah. I'm closer to, you know, breaking through with somebody else.
I mean, to sum up a lot of what you just said, we work with thousands of insurance professionals across the country, and without a doubt, we all need more leads. This is an easy way to get. I don't want to say easy.
Yeah,
I don't want to say easy, but at the end of the day, this is a way to differentiate yourself from the competition. If you even want to say there is competition, at the end of the day, the biggest competition is the person you see in the mirror every single day. So if you're looking to help more people, if you're looking for lead gen strategies, if you're looking to be successful in the future, what you're saying, Mike, is 100% spot on. And I go back to you can work hard, but you also need to work smart, and this is an easy way to work smart, and we all get to choose our own hard. And so, sure, you don't want to put yourself out there. You don't find value in content creation. Great. In my opinion, you're picking the easy route that leads to a really hard career, or you can just choose the hard right now. You can suck for 6 months to a year on camera. You can get better. You can put in your reps, and all of a sudden you can start reaping the benefits of all the work that you've put in. Like that's the choice you get to make.
Yeah, and I think to put this practically, because I understand Cringe Mountain, and I understand there are a lot of people that are listening to this right now, and they're like, I'm not going to do this, or I've tried this before, and it doesn't work. And after being online for, 12, 14 years, I understand this. Brene Brown actually practically talks about this. She talks about the square squad, where you take a 1 inch by 1 inch square, and everyone's opinions that actually matter go on that square. That's it. So it's a teeny tiny little square because it's very easy to put a video out and user 196727 said, this sucks. Nobody cares about insurance. And you're like, okay, I can completely absorb that and I can make that my own identity, or I can keep going, because it does take some time, because you do have to burn off almost that performance. And it's interesting that we're having this conversation, because I feel like almost every single interview that we've been doing here recently, the common theme is you are your competitive advantage. Like, you are the unique person. Like, we can all be selling the same things. For the most part, we are. But how we do it, the words that we use, the people that we want to serve, the companies that we build, the people that we hire are all going to be different, because we're all unique. So I love that we're at this spot now when we're talking about content creation, where it's less about performing and getting it right, and it's more about being true to who you are and what you want to say. and like who you actually want to serve. If you're focused on how many people can I help, how many people can I reach with this message, you're less concerned how many likes it gets, how many leads you get from it, and you're more focused on, I have something bigger than I'm working for here. Like I'm serving others. And I know, Mike, we talked about that a little bit before we got started about like really that people over profit.
And so like, I would, before we go away from content creation, there's one other thing I would say. By that end of the week answering questions that come up, now what you also have now is a video library. Because what most times will happen is you'll start realizing that after you do it 4, 5, 6 weeks in a row, it's the same question over and over. And what you now have is you have a YouTube link. So when somebody sends you a message, you can just send a video of you answering that question. And with that way, you don't have to get on the phone, right? So if it takes you 10 minutes to answer the question, you don't have to do it on the phone. You could send a video, right? And now you're still answering the question. You're just not answering it live, right? And it's a good system. But yeah, profit. We all struggle with this whole concept, or we work with big companies, right? Even if you're independent, most captives are all working with big companies. And the point of a big company is to make profit. And I don't care if it's a mutual company or if it's a stock held company. It's all about making profit.
They're making that money, baby. They are making that money.
If they don't make money, they're not going to be in business. The regulators are not going to let them stay in business. But it's not only about making money. It's also about growing and becoming bigger. There's not I don't know an insurance company out there that says, "Hey, we're good. Let's just stay exactly where we are. We're good. We don't want any more business. We're just going to stay right here." And if it is, prove me wrong. Right? Send me a message and tell me what insurance company that is, because I don't want to use them. but everything about these big companies, right, they are being pushed by either stockholders, executive managers, board of directors, and to those people, they don't know about Jim Smith, right? And his wife just being diagnosed with ALS, and the fact that they've been married for 42 years, and his life is in shambles right now because he's looking at the prospect of burying her in the next year and the possibility of living another 25 years by himself, right? When they had plans to go to Alaska and go to the Mediterranean cruise and go over to Australia and New Zealand, but this diagnosis hit them like that. See, like that's the work we do. That's the work we do as financial professionals. We're the ones that have to bear the emotional tolls that our clients have and still come out on the other side and explain how products work, how they solve the problems that they have, and then how to adjust, how to be dynamic when life throws you like this massive, big-ass curveball, right? And then, help them go on the other side. See, profit is good, but what we should be worried about is impact. Like, what impact do we make? How do we help Jim and his wife end this chapter of their life well? And then how do we help him transition? How do we help him get up and realize that he still has life to live, although he may feel hopeless? He has life to live. We are almost in the financial profession now, and I think this is going to go even more in the future. We always talk about being product specialists, being educators, getting designations behind our names. I think we're going to become more behavioral therapists in the future than what we even are now. And the ones that have that art of human connection, that can really connect with people, right, that can listen, that realizes that when you're in a meeting, that's the most important person you can be talking to. And when you do that, I think you're going to grow your practice. I think you're going to become more impactful. I think you're going to make more money. And that's the difference between a company, profit over people, and a financial professional. You have to operate in that system. You do. But where your point or your purpose is to make the impact with the person that's in front of you. And if you can't, if it's not your ideal client, tell them that. Don't just take the commission or the revenue off of them, right? If they're not your client, tell them, because everybody deserves to be somebody's A client. Everybody. And if they're not yours, push them off to somebody else, right? That's how our profession is going to continue moving forward.
You made a little note over here.
I did. I wrote it down when you were talking about it earlier because I got into the business initially for financial planning just because my dad was a pension worker. Well, you probably know the company Yellow Freight. So during the Great Financial Crisis, they lost about 75 to 80% of their pension. Ended up going bankrupt about 3 years ago now. And so I watched all this while I was in college. So that's why I initially got into the industry in the first place. And what I discovered very early on in my career is, sure, you're a financial coach, but really what you are is you're a behavioral coach. And this was all reiterated to me during like COVID when stocks they just crashed instantly, and you get call after call after call after call after call. I'm like Michael, what are we doing here? And it's like, you're not going to do anything besides ride this out with the initial plan. Like this is when, if you have any extra funds, this is when we capitalize on this. But you are a behavioral therapist, you're a behavioral coach, you are working with something. When you're talking about money, people put more focus and attention on money than they almost do with any other thing in their life.
It's the thing you've worried about the longest.
Yeah,
is money.
You go your whole life saving, worrying, and then you have the job like with the retirement years of, hey, now it's okay to spend this money. That's also a behavioral coach. That's a behavioral therapist, and that's a hard mindset to get through with people. So, anyways, that's kind of going off on a tangent here.
I think it's interesting, Mike. I would ask you, because a lot of what I do when it comes to like in our organizations is culture, and so I'm having like deeper conversations of like mindset blocks and goals, and we're having performance coaches. I'm curious, when you're having coaches with clients now, are we shifting to where we're having more emotional conversations, like they're actually having their money story of like, these are all the things that I'm talking about? Have we moved into that level?
So I come at this, I come to you guys, and Mike did a good job at saying a little bit of who I am, but like I am both educator, coach, and planner. So I actually teach at a university too, and I do that to kind of keep myself sharp, to keep my pulse of what's on. So I teach personal financial planning and principles of ethics of financial planning at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia. And it's not a lot of time, guys. I mean, I'm not that college professor with the sweater vest and the pocket square. Right?
I think you should do it. I mean, that you could rock that fit. Let's go.
But the interesting thing about coming at some of this from an educator is I feel like one of our biggest roles, and we can't exclusively do this, right? Because there's not a lot of money in doing this, but we have to kind of give our clients and our prospects enough information for them to be able to feel like they're making an informed decision, not a rushed decision. And I think part of that education goes to the emotional state of it, the emotional side of it. And I think before like the financial planning conversation should begin, or at least when it begins in our company, is we make everybody answer a question. And the question for us is, why is money important to you? And the answers we get to that are all over the place, right? Spend more time with grandkids, start a nonprofit, travel more. It's all over the place, right? But we make people answer that question, and if they can't answer that question, that one question right there, we can't move forward. If they're just like, hey, I just want to see your investment portfolio. Well, I got to be able to give your money purpose. And if I don't know why money's important to you, I can't give it purpose. And so when they answer that question, then we go next and we actually build a vision statement. And we have a framework for building a vision statement. Everybody's is a little bit different, but ours is a vision statement around your community health and impact, CHI, inner peace, CHI.
Namaste.
So community health and impact. We call it retirement CHI. So we why is money important? Retirement CHI. Then we get to the money, because now when there's vision and purpose, right? Now money is just a tool. It's not a God, right? It's not the end all. It is what allows you to accomplish those first two things. And so educating people and helping them with those two concepts. And by the way, I'm not talking about two separate meetings here. Those are conversations, right? Those are 10 to 15 to 20 to 30 to 45-minute conversations. In the process, you can like educate just a little bit, but what you're really leading people to do is to say out loud why they feel like they need a financial person. Why is money important to you? What is your vision? And when you lead them through the exercise, they're going to be begging for the financial plan when they're done, because now they have something written down on what that financial plan will accomplish. And to me, I think the financial plan is the most important financial document you can have. I don't think your Fidelity or Schwab statement or your paycheck, I don't think that's the most financial, I don't think it's the biggest financial document. I think it's the financial plan. Like, and as simple as possible, right? Like a 1 page if possible, right? I mean, that's our financial plan. That's 1 page, right? If you cannot put it on 1 page, it's too complicated. And so we put why is money important to you up in the top left. We put your vision in the top right. And in the next one, we put your assets and we put what we're trying to accomplish. And then we update that as we go along. But this is literally a 1 page that they can walk out with. They could put it on their refrigerator. We encourage them to do that. Put it on your refrigerator. Put it where you could see it.
Yeah.
That's what your money's for. That's what you're working for. That's what you're trying to live for. And it's just it's an education piece. I think 80-page financial plans are a waste of 79 pages.
Absolutely. Got to keep things simple.
Keep it simple so you can focus on it.
And environmental friendly, right?
There you go.
That's right. So, Mike, this has been incredible. I would love to actually keep this conversation going. We may have you on the buzz again if you're open to it. But I want to be respectful of your time. And so, most importantly, you have some cool things going on right now that you actually help insurance professionals, advisors out with across the country with your Sprint to Success, and also your book, I believe you said, was One of a Kind Financial Plan. So tell agents a little bit about how to work with you, and we'll go from there.
So the Sprint to Success is, I've been doing this for 27 years. The first 12, I was captive. I had a W-2, right? That's another way of saying I had a W-2. And then I made the bold independent decision 15 years ago, 2011, to go independent. And boy, have I made some mistakes. I'm not going to tell you that we're perfect. Now, we are an 8-figure revenue business now, but I made a lot of mistakes along the way. And the Sprint to Success is, it's a monthly 4-hour event we do for independent or those looking to be independent at some point in the future to just professionalize yourself. Like, we go through how you send emails, what your social media should look like, if you have a website, how to bring it to life, how to always look open for business. That's the key. And how to allow your niche. We talk about building a niche, how to take your niche and show them how to find you, like lead them to you. And it's not a lead generation system, right? It's a business practice management system. It's what it is. And we don't talk about that enough in the industry. We always talk about how to get more leads, and we always talk about how to build a better sales process. We don't talk about how to build a practice, how to build something that's sustainable. And I do that once a month. It's 4 hours. There's a nominal cost to it, and we tell you that within 30 days, if you haven't gotten at least 10 times that value out of it, we'll give you your freaking money back. I don't care about it that much. If you do the work and you don't get 10 times the value out of it, I'll give you your money back. And then, so we do that. If you want information about that, the simple way to do that is just go to our Skool community. I don't know if people know about Skool, but skool.com/Mike Milligan, /Mike Milligan. I'm asking myself, is that right now? It'll
be in the show notes. It's all good.
It is /Mike Milligan. Or you could simply just text the word ideas, 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 to the number 600-700. Or you can always find me online, MikeMilligan.com, just MikeMilligan.com. That's my personal site, but you'll find everything I do there. And in the books, I've written the One of a Kind Financial Plan on Amazon. I've almost got a 5-star rating, almost. Except for Teresa Mueller. I've had yet to find her yet, but if she listens to this podcast, Teresa, I need you to call me, because I need to see what your ratings are everywhere else, because it reads like a 5-star rating, Teresa, but you gave me 3, and I'm really hurt by that.
We got to settle this, Teresa.
Yeah, just reach out. I say that almost on all the podcasts I go on, because I'm trying to find her. Trying to locate her. She is my unicorn that I need to speak with. No judgment. I just want to get to know her. Like I feel like she has some daddy issues or something. We got to
change that 3-star.
We got to get past that, right? Because other people need you to give 4 and 5 stars in the future, and I'll be the sacrificial lamb for that. But the one-of-a-kind financial plan, all that to say, the one-of-a-kind financial plan on Amazon, and then Retirement Deja Vu is dropping on Amazon here shortly. Retirement Deja Vu, and that's my manifesto against the industry. And guys, you want to talk about, my publishers, when they read that, they're like, "Are you sure you want to publish this?" Yes, I want to publish this.
Those are my favorite.
I want to tell consumers like what's going on behind the closed doors, because and I want to give them the questions to ask, right, to really get real answers. And so Skool, Skool.com/Mike Milligan. Text ideas to 600-700, MikeMilligan.com, or throw me a bone and go buy a book.
Absolutely, go out and buy the book, guys. So this is Mike. This has been incredible. This has been fun.
I could jam
have
on this
an entire
forever.
page of notes.
Yeah.
So appreciate you. I'm going to definitely be catching up with you off of air about Puerto Rico some more. So for all of those of you who tuned in today, I hope you got as much out of this as I did. But selfishly, I got a hell of a lot out of this. So,
so whether you did or not, we had a great time.
But as always, guys, we appreciate you. We appreciate your support. Without you, we couldn't do this. So time and attention are by far our most important assets. We appreciate you spending time with us today on The Buzz. Go out, make it great. Mike, thank you again.